Welcome to Engage on the Go. I'm Judy Maggio. A priority for Leadership Austin is to increase civic engagement by convening even more people in critical community conversations. We know not everyone's available for our monthly Engage Breakfast, so we're bringing these panel discussions to you through this Engage on the Go series. Our hope is to encourage a thoughtful dialogue about a community issue at a time and place that works for you. We want to thank our presenting sponsor, University Federal Credit Union, who's helping us bring these series of discussions to where we live, work, and play.
Hello, my name is Tony Boudet. I'm CEO of University Federal Credit Union. We're proud to partner with Leadership Austin as presenting sponsor of Engage on the Go. We hope this series sparks thoughtful, respectful dialogues at a time and place that work best for you.
It's not easy to talk about racism. For some, it's personal and raw. For others, it's distant and undefinable. For many, it's somewhere in between and accompanied by the question, what do we do about it? The mayor formed a task force to address this with a recent report on institutional racism and system inequities. The co-chairs of the task force joined Leadership Austin to discuss the recommendations being made to tackle issues of racial and economic segregation. Why is this report important, and how is it different?
It's a tough topic and it's uncomfortable, but the uncomfortable has to be, these discussions need to be had. I think the structure of the report is very different because it doesn't just deal with public entities. These are public and private. It was also systemic. So when we looked at systems, it's not just education, it's about affordability, it's about housing, it's about healthcare, it's about the criminal justice system, it's about education, it's about finances. So it is truly systemic even by design, including public and private organizations. So in this one, it's really going to take much more deep self-reflection of leaders of organizations and how they run their teams to take a close look at themselves and their organizations and see how they're going to effectuate change. That makes it much more challenging.
It's yet to be seen what makes this report different. And what will make it different is people like each of you. Because if we're not intentional about the things that came out in the report, the recommendations, nothing will change. It will just be a report. So I've lived in a lot of different types of cities, domestic and international. I would give Austin a 10 on a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to live. I would give Austin a 3 on it being an equitable, wonderful place to live for all, because everyone, in the report we talk about the violet crown, and it's not a violet crown for everyone. And it's not truly a violet crown if everyone does not have the opportunity to prosper. Said that Austin is the Atlanta for white people, if you think about that, because Atlanta is a thriving mecca for black people. So Austin is a thriving mecca for white people, and we want to make it a thriving mecca for all people.
How can we become a more integrated city?
As far as changing people's perceptions, that doesn't just happen for schools. That happens in the workplace, that happens in everywhere. And the more we get to know each other, the more we have conversations, we realize that we're really more alike than we are different. And that only happens in getting out of your comfort zone. And one of the other charges was from the mayor was to make us uncomfortable. Because once we become uncomfortable, once you push people out of their comfort zone, you realize that this is really a rewarding experience. Because the task force, the recommendations, it's not about racist people, it's addressing racist systems. And when we address racist systems, then people's lives begin to be elevated and change. And we're looking for people to have an equitable opportunity. Because as a nation, we reached equality, but then we're not equitable, and there's a big difference. So another finding of this task force is that racism is not a myth, it's real. The data speaks to it.
Is looking at the data, because I do think that's a starting point. Even whatever you believe, data tells a story, and it should inform what we're doing and what's been happening over time. And if we don't like the data, we don't see our outcomes there, unless we do something, we all know that, right? It's going to just continue and it perpetuate itself. even when it goes back to really hard things, because we love Austin. But when you look at your data, you gotta call your baby ugly sometimes, right? It's not quite right. And that's a hard thing, because we're proud, right? Austinites, we're proud people. We love our systems. We work hard at this, right? But if we don't look at what's happening as an outcome, then we're truly not realizing our potential. We're not realizing the vision for Austin.
If you read the data is very clear that in every element of this work group, not one element, whether it was finance, banking, industry, or housing, and they interact. Because if you don't get a good educational experience, you can't go out and get a good job. If you can't get a good job, you can't live in a comfortable neighborhood, you don't have a comfortable life, you don't get good health care, so it becomes a defeating, you never get out. So the root of this is making sure that things are equitable.
What can we do to end institutional racism and systemic inequities?
Get engaged, to read the report. I had someone critical of the report in a public setting, and then as I was leaving, he said, Dr. Burnett, how do I get a copy of it? Now you process that. People are being critical of it without even reading it. And that's what we do. We're like, oh, that's another task force, oh, that's not doesn't mean anything, and you haven't even read it. So I encourage you to read it. If you don't want to read all 70 pages, then I would encourage, and people do what they want to do, what's important to them. So I encourage you to even focus on your section. So the next steps are, the mayor is very engaged in this. He has tasked us with coming up with implementation phases with next steps.
It's about socializing what you've learned. So even if I may take a self-study, or I've looked at my own data, or whatever that is, that's just me with me. We have to socialize what we're learning. We have to socialize what are the good things and the not so good things, right? That information has to be socialized with your core team. I would also say that you sort of have to begin these conversations, because even in our experiences, they were pretty difficult, even in our smaller groups where we met. I'd really start with people who you trust, people who got your back. I mean, these are dangerous, they can be, and because they're so personal. And you know when you're really getting to the core of the issue when it becomes that personal. But that's where I think change really comes from. It's got to come from within. That's where you find your why. Having a window or the mirror. And typically we look to the window and say, that's what needs to change. Well, that may be. But then take one step to the left and look in the mirror and say, what am I going to do to change that? What's my role in that to change that? Whether as an individual or as a leader in an organization, what am I going to do?
I really want to emphasize personal soul searching. I mean, innately, everybody is good. So do innate soul searching, I mean personal soul searching, to say, what am I doing in my everyday life that's either perpetuating something that's racist, or allowing it, or accepting it, or being a part of it in your own life. And that's something that we can all do, and we all are in a space that I could imagine we're all in a space that you are affected by, or you are a part of some racist system. And it could be something that you've never really processed. So once you do that that's personal soul searching. And then the other thing I would say is to commit to being a change agent.
We hope you found this edition of Engage on the Go helpful. Greater Austin is a diverse, rapidly growing region, facing issues that will certainly shape this place we call home. Please enjoy your conversation, and thank you for caring enough to share your perspectives with each other.